Well, hello again. A good day starts with a really nice cup of tea, and that's one of my favorites. Here we are again, trying to test a new toy I just got from AliExpress, and this is related to my to one of my old projects about measuring the internal resistance of different kind of batteries or accus. So I have to present you now this little internal resistance and voltmeter, and it came from China. It's got no viruses yet. Yeah, it's working great. It comes from Viorel, and this machine, it's an YR1035 plus. Okay, so it's time to starting on, and now it turns to the main function. So again, this one will measure the very low resistance, like milliohms, and also the batteries or accus like lithium or lithium polymer or even nickel metal hybrid, and even lead acid internal resistance. Okay, so let's starting on. Push the power button, and there are a couple of information about the firmware, and if you want to shut it down, just push the power button again, and of course you say yes, and it's off. And here we go. Let's start the little toy, and let's go to the main menu, press power again, and there we are. So we have normal mode. To scroll down the menu you have to press range U, and then sorting mode. This is very nice when you have hundreds of cells and you have to do a quick sorting of the cells. Settings about the backlight, settings about the auto off, and here grinding set, you have to input the levels for measuring resistance and voltage when you are doing the sorting. That's for connecting with a serial interface. Calibration, don't touch that as long as you don't have the right testing resistance or voltage or something. Anyway, just let it be. Factory reset, this is very clear. Charging set, that's for charging the internal accu. It have an internal lithium battery, and of course normal mode again. What about normal mode? It's very simple. If you want to enter, just push power here, and here we have a couple of things to say. From this button here, range R, that means the range of resistance. You can use it with auto R, and you can also toggle between different settings like 20 milliohms, 200 milliohms, 2 ohms, 20 ohms, and 200 ohms. The best is to put it on auto. Then down here we have the auto voltage, and this can also be set to 1 volt, 10 volts, and 100 volts. And by the way, this little one can't measure more than 100 volts. A hold button here that frees the screen with the latest testings or measurements, and also if you push longer, it's going to normal, and if you push another longer one, we have a ZR, a ZR. That means a setting for very low resistance. ultra low resistance. So that's for the main measuring page, let's say. Let's go further. Sorting. Here we go. So this is very clear. You have to input a certain level of resistance and a certain level of voltage, and then all the cells you are testing are entering in this, how can I say, in this sector. So let's say we have a couple of lithiums. I want to sort them with an internal resistance between 30 milliohms and 50 milliohms, and then I'll show you later how to input those data, and the voltage should be between 3.5 volts to 4.1 volts. So that helps when you have a lot of cells, to test. Okay, let's go to, you see, I'm going down the list with range U. Backlit set, this is very clear. So we have the luminance is the light behind the LCD. Now it's on 30%, that's absolutely okay. And we have here to move between all these stuffs, you have to push. You see, now I'm changing the values here, so just let it on 30% like it was factory set. That's mode triggering, on all the time, off. I set it on triggering, that's the way it was from the factory. And we go to how long do we need the backlight on. Let's put it on 60 seconds, and that's it. To go back to the main menu, you can push hold, and there we are. Auto off, this is very clear. So if you don't want auto off, you just go here and put it on off. So you scroll by range U and you change the values by range R. Off, on. Then let's say delay 10 minutes. That's okay for me. Low power on. It goes on kind of standby mode after 10 minutes. So let's go again here. 60 minutes. That's okay. We go back to the main menu. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this grinding settings. We go in. Like I said, it's useful when you have to test a lot of cells in a short time. So here we have to input some values. First of all, the lower limit of the internal resistance of a certain row of cells. Let's say we have like 100 lithium cells like this, and we don't want to write down each cell with values and scores and so on. So then we can input here a certain limits, and all the cells tested and entering these limits, you can then make it like class A, class B and so on, depends on the internal resistance and the voltage. And this is very simple here. Let's say we want to input the lower limits of the cells. We go here. Now we are on ohms, and I put it 50 milliohms already. Let's put it again. And if we go here, we can change the scale. So now we are in ohms. You see there it's 0.050, that means 50 milliohms. But you can change that. So now we can have a scale like this with 0.50, and then we have a scale like this, and this is like hundreds of ohms. And finally, a scale directly in milliohms. If we have this, then we have to input the value here That's why I prefer to have it in directly in ohms with a range of 1 point something, because usually the cells are measuring like from 20 milliohms and so on. So it will be really hard to find a good one exceeding 50 milliohms or something. Then we have voltage. You go here and down to the voltage, and this is very easy to understand. The lower limit is 4.1 volts. Of course you can change it, and here also you can have a range like tens of volts or under 100. There's no, the limit is 100, but I find this very easy for lithium cells at least. Let's say if we measure car batteries, then we have to go like this, you know, two numbers and point something. Well, it's kind of tricky, but you'll understand that when you're really using this. And then we have to input the upper limit. So you see, I already have here the upper limit will be 80 milliohms and not more than 5.1 volts. And down here, let's say the lower limits, we can change that to 4 or even 3.9 volts, and here we go. Okay, that's it. To save everything, you hold 0. Yes, everything is saved. And YR1035, this is settings for the serial communication. I never use it. It's the baud rate, the speed of the serial port. Like I said before, calibration, don't touch it, because then you have to have a certain voltage and stuff, so don't touch it, just let it be factory sets. Factory reset, this is very easy. You have to push it here, yes or no. Now we have the charge set. That's for charging the internal lithium battery. Now it's set to 400 milliamps, and I think it's enough. There's nothing here special to say. Charge set, and of course back to normal mode. And now it's time for do some measurements. And let me measure some resistance. I don't have a proper resistance, you know, but at least we can try to measure something like this. And this is kind of 0.01 ohms, and that means 10 milliohms. And let's see what's happening. Oh, I forgot to tell you about the testers. You see, the testers have 4 wires. It's called a 4-point measuring, and the testers, they have springs here. You can see it's a spring something there, and it's very easy to have a proper contact. And also the heads here are very sharp, so be careful with that because it can hurt you. Okay, so let's measure this resistance. It should be 10 milliohms, and there we go, 9.91 milliohms. That's very, very close with the value of the resistance here. And of course, that's the moment of truth. Let me have a lithium cell. You know, with the internal resistance project I had before, I've been measuring this, and that instrument gave me 166 milliohms. Now, if I'm testing with this one, it gives me 72.8. So it's like maybe half of my measurements. But like I said, that internal resistance instrument I did, it wasn't perfect. It was just for sorting some cells. Let's try again. You see, you have to push it really nice here. And we have 73 milliohms. And also, it's really good that the cells should be charged very well before. And let me have some more. This one, by the way, it said 93 on my measurements before. And let's try with this one. Now, you really need to have a good contact here. There we go. So it's 53.3. I may say this is in a really good shape. The producers are usually saying that a good lithium cell should have around 20 milliohms. Okay, let me have another one. This one said 93 before. 1.5 amps capacity. 60.6 milliohms unsteady. That's a pretty good one. It can be useful again. Now, what about sorting mode? So, if you remember, we put the limits here between 50 and 80 milliohms. So the lower is 50 and the higher it's 80 milliohms. Okay, let's change that a little bit. Let me say I want to have it like lower limit 20 milliohms and the higher limit like 50 milliohms. And back again, we save the settings. And we should go to the main menu. Okay, everything is saved there. And let's do a sorting. A couple of cells here. Lots of them, in fact. And let's see what's happening. So, let's start with this one. Not good. It's 53. So doesn't go into the limits. Already I may say this one is not fitting too. I don't have good contacts here. That's kind of problem with this one. That's funny because it doesn't say it fits or not. Oh, no, doesn't fit. I'm afraid I put the limit too low. 50 milliohms, I'm sorry. 78. I'm afraid I don't have one like that. So let me try again to change the sorting limits. So we start with 20 and we go up to, let's say, 80 milliohms. That should do the job. save, and back to menu. It's very important to save pushing hold 0 for a little while and then again to turn to the menu. Okay, sorting. So now we have a limit in between 20 milliohms and 80 milliohms. Let's see what's happening. Let's try this again. If it fits. Yes, it does. This one. That's fine. So that's what it was exactly what I was talking about, you know. When you have a lot of cells, then you can easily test them in no time. Okay. This one is not passing, it have more than 80. You don't even need to read the instrument. You hear the beeps. If it's one beep, then the cell is good. It's passing the limits. If not, you have a few beeps, short beeps in a row. Okay, this is okay. Anyway, so that's the story about having the sorting 90 milliohms out. So that's the story about having the sorting function here. Let's go back to the normal mode and let's try a couple of nickel hybrid. So like I said before, it's good to have them charged, and of course auto voltage 22.6. I think it's in a pretty good shape. 22.6. 21. 29. Not so good, but still charging. This one is 43, 44. Okay, let's see this one. 42. Anyway, this is a clever charger, I may say. So if the internal resistance is too high, it doesn't start the charging anyway. So this, I may say, they are good cells. I don't have any bad ones to make a compare. 38. All of them are okay. And this one 66, 68. Well, I think this one is at the end of life. It will be out soon. Okay, and after all, let me have a test about measuring internal resistance of some, let's say, Toyota hybrid batteries, and let's have some lead acid measurements too. So here I have a few Toyota Auris cells, and it's nice to know about the internal resistance of each of them. So you can see I have a plus and a minus. You know, for this tester doesn't really matter the polarity, because it goes automatically anyway if you just change the wires. All you have to do is to push it nice. The wires are silicone wires, so they are pretty flexible. And here we go. So that is 7
5.79 volts and 7.27 milliohms. This is a really good one. Okay, 722, 722, 721. They have a really low resistance, but I may say these are professional cells. 7.2, really professional cells for hybrid car batteries. 7.1, this is a really good one. 0.1, you see the voltage is pretty close to all of them. 7.32, 722, 714, 715, 14, that's good. 850, oh, this is gone. Goodbye. When I'm talking about batteries, you know, let's say this one is 16 milliamps, you saw that? It's almost double like the ones before, so this is ruin for sure. The point is that we need batteries with as low as possible internal resistance. So you can easily say about the cells which of them are good or bad from the early beginning. And of course later capacity tests, charging and discharging will be done and have a proper idea. You can hear some relays clicking inside the test machine. Okay, this one is jumping up and down. 9.8. So I may say this one it's ruined, that's for sure. 855 it was one. Which one was that? 16. This one maybe. Yeah, this is really ruined. You see, these batteries are tied together here, but if you consider the wire, we already have a, so from here to down here it's a piece of wire. I tie them all together on minus. So this piece of wire here is already more than, okay, let's say 25 milliohms. Look, 7.17. If I go here through the wires, it's 52 already. So this is really nice. Okay, let me check some lead acid battery now. So you can see the battery here. It's very heavy, so I don't want to take it off, take it up. Okay, here we go. Like I said before, really good content. It's a need. So this one's got a 147 milliohms. 147 milliohms. Okay. And I have a car battery too. That's a car battery. Oh man, it's so heavy. And we got here like 17.72 milliohms. I think this is pretty good, but I'm not sure because I'm really trying to understand all this relation between internal resistance and all the stuffs. And I also have a couple of them here. I'm gonna measure them later. Just let me have a quick look. So that's inside the tester. A lot of integrated circuits here. I'm not sure what they are for. It's way too much for me. But I mentioned before it have a lithium battery here. It's very similar with the classic 18650, and there are two main boards. You see this one here, and the other one is for display and commands. And like I said, there's nothing special here. I have to mention the micro USB port. That's for charging the battery, the internal battery. And
This one here, the connector here, is very easy to plug in, and that's the connector here. It's very easy to plug in. It have a certain position here. You just find it and push it. It's kind of hard to do it with one hand, but anyway, there are a lot of other kind of cables for this tester. This one, it's a simple 4 wires. These are silicone wires and they are very nice and elastic. And that's it for now. Thank you for looking, and if you have any question, just comment and I'll be happy to answer them.